Okay, so we're making, or got grapes. This tub here is about half or so full, and you can see they've got it all cleaned up pretty good. They're de-stemming them, and we're going to make grape jelly. Ain't never made it before. This will be my first time, so we're going to learn it together. We got these here from another local homesteader that was done with them. So these here's going to be for the chickens, because you can see they're grody. And then we got this here whole mess that will go into being for jelly. We got to measure them out and everything, wash them first. But anyhow, we're getting started on this here grape jelly making adventure. Haley's going to help me, ain't you, Haley? Yeah, I just got a really good look from her. Yeah. Okay, so I washed the grapes after we de-stemmed them and everything, and I poured them. I measured them out. 3.5 pounds does one batch of Concord grape jelly. This is, it's a smidge over 3.5 pounds. I don't care. Anyhow, it's set to put them in the pan, and then add half a cup of water over it. And then I just gotta start mashing them. I guess kind of like I do my blackberry jelly and stuff. Just keep mashing them, getting all the juice I can out of them. And then I gotta heat it to a boil. And then I reduce the heat and let it go for 10 minutes. Just still mashing, occasional mash. And then I'll strain them. So for now, I'm just gonna keep on heat and mash. And then we'll check back in after this part. Okay, so I have you're supposed to cover it, by the way. Once you get it to boiling, cover it, and then once you get to boiling, that's when you reduce the heat and simmer. We're gonna get it right. But anyhow, so clearly we got a boil going. Lots and lots of juices happening. So I'm gonna reduce my heat, and this is where I put it on timer for 10 minutes and simmer it for the full 10. And I'll just still periodically stir it. It doesn't say to do that, but I'm assuming. So that's just a skin there, but that's what we're going to do. So simmer and set the timer for 10. Check back in after 10 minutes is up. Okay, so the grapes here have simmered for the 10 minutes. If y'all could smell this, I mean, it really does smell good.
Let me see.
You want to see it? Looking at it? It does smell good, yeah. So I gotta strain it. You gotta strain it through a cheesecloth. That's what it says. I personally do not like cheesecloth very well. This is your cheesecloth. You see how you see through it? And this is double tripled over. This throwaway cheesecloth. I did find some where you can wash and reuse it. And so far I'm tending to like that much better than this here stuff. But, I'm gonna make this and I'm just gonna throw it away and I'll be done with that finally. So, with that, just strain, make a mess on the counter. Y'all didn't see that, so go for me. But strain this into the cheesecloth, which is also going through this here sieve, china, whatever thingy. I don't know what it's called. But between the two of them, I'll hopefully catch crap. See why I don't like this crap. Catch most of the pulp. Ow! Burn. Alright, now, there's that. I gotta strain this all out of here, and I gotta get 4 cups of juice, and that's what will make this batch of jelly. Except the other trick to this is 4 cups of juice. And then the juice, they say let it set 8 hours in a cool place or overnight. That way you can get, it don't form crystals. So that's kind of a new one to me. I've never had that happen before, but yeah. Okay, so anyhow, it's a very slow process of straining this. But it's going. Once I get this done, I'll measure out 4 cups and set it in a cool place, which here is the refrigerator. So, just gonna impatiently wait for this to get through. Until then, I'll check back in with you when I get the next step. Okay, so I have finished it. Look at that goopy mess. And then down here's my juice. Looks pretty good in the strain. Now it says let it set for 8 hours to keep crystals from forming in a cool place. And this here, I guess my chickens will thoroughly enjoy. Because, I don't know, I feel like there's still a lot of juice in there, but nothing's really wanting to come out. So we're going to call it a done deal. But, till then, this is going into the fridge for 8 hours at minimum. Okay, so the grape juices sit for the over 8 hours in a cool spot. And I don't really, like maybe a little crystally, like in some of these little flecks there or something. But not like super bad, but it says to strain it again. So I'm going to do that, and then I got to measure out 4 cups of the grape juice to make the jelly. So let me get on that. Okay, so I've got, this is called a flour sack. I like these way better than I do a cheesecloth. Still super thin, just ain't got the holes and don't fall apart as easily. And I got it setting down inside of a bowl to catch the clean juice. Oh shoot, the cloth was supposed to be dampened. So, oops, my bad. I'm sure it'll still strain. But let me see what we're doing here strain-wise. Okay, so I see why you're supposed to dampen it, because it does allow it to go through a little bit faster. This is nice and thick for sure. I guess if you liked grape juice only, you could drink some of this thick stuff. Concentrated there, for sure. Anyhow, me. Is it stopped? Yeah, we're straining. I'm just going to be a while at this rate, so you just don't want to watch all this. So as I strain it, I'll pause, and then when I get back in, and we'll start measuring out and making the jelly from here. But I have a feeling I'm going to be a few minutes. I do recommend you dampen your cloth. Okay, so after I strained it through that sieve thingy and all that, this is still everything that was left from the grapes. The whatever stuff, pulp stuff. And it is a really pretty dye, so that's cool. But now I got this here 4-cup measuring cup. I'm gonna dump my juice into it and make sure I got the 4 cups here. Four cups, a little to spare, which is good because I've got more than one batch to do here. So that's my 4-cup mark, and then we take her from there. Okay, so what it tells me to do next is pour the juice into a large pot and then add my sugar. It tells me to use 7 cups of white sugar. I think that is insane. And so I'm just going to start with 4, kind of like what my blackberry jellies and stuff was. Because 7 cups to me is, we'll just be eating sugar. Anyhow, 4 cups of this. And then it also calls for liquid pectin. I got that here. You can use regular pectin too. The only difference is when you add it to your mix. So let me get this sugar open and we'll start measuring it out. Okay, it's got my sugar opened up and busted up. It's kind of hard. We bought this in bulk from a local Amish store place for like less than half the price. It just set in their little outbuilding there, so it's got some hard chunks to it. But anyhow, I'm going to start with 4 cups and I'll taste it, see if I like it. But, like I said, 7 cups to me is just insane, especially since I have diabetics in the house. I mean, 4 cups seems insane when you mention it that way. Now 1. 2. And 4. I'll whisk it up and see if I can stand the taste of it. Okay, she's dissolving some of that, or whisking that sugar in it so we can see how it is before I decide I want to add more or not. Let's see. Okay, hold still. I think that's about perfect. I don't want to do no more sugar than that. 4 cups is good.
4 cups?
Yeah, 4 cups. It's called for 7, so be glad I did 4. Alright, so now it'll go on the stove. I gotta bring it to a boil. And then when it starts boiling, I add in 1 pouch of liquid pectin. And then I boil it, I think it said for 1 more minute. And then I add it into my hot jars. So let's get this to the stove, Maya. Okay, so she's got this going. And as you can see, we've got this here going, getting it hot. And then I've got my liquid pectin, which, let me see if I can't get you to see what it looks like. It just looks kind of like a wallpaper paste. I'll show them when we go to pour it in. Anyhow, we gotta get this to a boil. I got my pan, or my jars in the oven, getting them hot, because it's a hot pack, because it's a hot jelly, going into hot jars, going into a hot canner. So, bring this up a little bit so it will maybe boil sooner. That's just because of the lighting on the stove.
I know, but it's a pretty color.
Kind of like the grape jelly. Anyhow, I'm going to get this to boiling and we'll take her from there. Okay, so you can see we got a good rolling boil going here. Ooh, it's going to overflow. Ah. Okay, she's adding the pectin in now. You can see it's kind of like wallpaper paste, liquid pectin. It's my first time ever using it. So, I always do the other. Squeeze out all the contents, kind of like it's a cheese packet. Anyhow, now that that's done, we set the timer for 1 minute.
There you go.
Because it's still boiling. So it's got to boil for 1 minute with this pectin in it. And then as soon as it's done, I remove it from the heat and put it in the jars. So let me keep this stirring here for the full minute. And we'll take her from there. Okay, so I've got to get the jars out of my oven. Remember, you can do them in water, but I don't like to do them in water when they got to be hot unless the product has water in it. Because otherwise it kind of, I feel like it adds water, but I don't want it. And then I've got my funnel here, which is how I'll put the jelly into the jar. So, fill this jar up here. Ooh, that is hot. Okay, clearly my jars are very, very hot. And I've got, you're supposed to leave a 1/4 inch of headspace. If I look at my jar here, let me get close. This is a 1/4 inch if I spin it around, which is very hot, so. Because then as you keep spinning it around, the ring goes down, and then it's at a 1/2 inch here. And then this here band is your 1 inch. So, anyhow, haha, burning me. I'll fill them up to probably, honestly, about here. Headspace is important so that it can pull everything out and seal the jar. So I'm gonna finish filling this up. And generally, I heat my jars in the oven at about 200 degrees. That way it ain't too hot, but I was baking a cobbler, so they just joined in the cobbler party, so they're about 350. They're really hot, that's why it was boiling and sizzling. Okay, and then the important thing here is to wipe your rim. You have to wipe the rim. If you do not, there could be debris or something there that it will keep it from sealing. You can use, that is so hot, you can use a wet cloth or wet paper towel. If you use that funnel, it's really not that messy, so you ain't got to stress about it so much. But anyhow, wipe over it very, very well. And then I've got my my regular mouth lids. These are Golden Harvest brand. A few brands I've realize I don't really like, but you know, Golden Harvest seems to be pretty good. Actually, that one says ball, where I mixed the box. Anyhow, then put your lid, oh my gosh, sorry, ring on, and it says finger tight just right. And then it goes from there to the canner. It is burning me. And you have to have stuff sitting on a wire rack or on more rings or something in there, because if you don't, it vibrates the jars and it can cause the jars to shatter. You have to be able to allow the movement under the jars to prevent that from happening. So anyhow, as soon as I get them all filled, I'll drop this down in here, and when it starts boiling, it's when you set the timer, and it's 5 minutes at a rolling boil. So you can see we're steaming, we're hot, but we ain't hot enough to boil yet. Okay, I got 6 jelly jar sizes, so half pints out of that batch. So that's pretty good. Now I lower this down into the canner and make sure the lids are completely submerged with water. Okay, so anyhow, lower it in. And the lids are all covered, so we're golden to go there. So I put this lid on it, and that'll help bring it to a boil longer or quicker. And then once 5 minutes comes, once it's rolling, I'll time it for 5 minutes. Okay, as you can see, it is a full boil, and it has been 5 minutes. So get my jar lifter here. This is the jar lifter. This is the handle here. They're plastic, they kind of roll, and they ain't grippy. Down here you got the pieces that are rubber, and when you close it, you can see that it's rounded like your jar. So you just reach in here, pick up your jar with it, and then bring it over. I always set my stuff on towels. That just helps with the shock of everything there. Do it again. Anyhow, it's pretty color purple. And then when you set your jars down, you want to leave them spaced out enough like this. That way it's got even airflow through them so that they can cool down evenly. And then they'll seal. So I'm going to get them all out, set them out. Don't touch them for 24 hours or so they say. I get a little impatient. I just heard that one there pop. It was very quiet, but it did it. Anyhow, that's the end of making the Concord grape jelly. It tasted pretty good when I tasted it there at that spoon earlier, so I'm excited about this one.